Across the continent of Africa, we have seen quite a number of activities that lead to regime change from countries in the West Africa where coups have taken place, in Central Africa, in South Sudan, in Khartoum, Sudan, in Eritrea, and in Tigray and Ethiopia. Libya itself is burning. When you come to Central African Republic, it's burning. When you go to Cameroon, it's burning. When you go to Nigeria, it's sinking. Every morning you wake up, almost over 4,000 from January to March. Over 3,000 Nigerians have been killed and several kidnapped, taken by different sources that we don't know, and the forces, darker forces, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISIS, across the continent of Africa. The entire continent seems to have somewhere, somehow, people disappearing. What can we do to prevent this type of catastrophe happening to our countries? In Cameroon, for example, the country has been battling a war between Amazonia and the Cameroonian French-speaking country, part of the country. The Amazonians want independence. Resolution 1608 of 1961 gave them the mandate to seek a referendum. Nobody has given them that independence. African Union has never taken up the matter. It has never come to the African Union discussion again. When you come to Democratic Republic of Congo, thanks to Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and other countries that have entered Congo at the moment to pacify, to rearrange it, conflicts are everywhere. When you come to Tanzania, when you come to Somalia, across here, battles and battles of regime change, people wanting a change, people being sponsored, people being paid to make changes. Arab states in the Gulf have moved on African continent, paid money to governments, paid money to ministers, prime ministers, presidents to create chaos on this continent. When you go south in Zimbabwe, a constant move of a threat to a regime change, people walking on the streets. In Malawi, people are walking on the streets. Is there something that is triggering this movement of regime change? The answer is yes, there is. George Soros, Open Society Foundation, and the United States of America government, which is currently the democratic government of Democrats, they headed by Joe Biden. They always move to remove governments, not through military coups. If you are lucky in Africa and you are not removed by a military coup when there is a democratic government in Washington, you must be a lucky president. What is happening to our continent? Why is the continent going this route? Why are we thinking of coming to the streets instead of resolving most of these things behind the scenes? What has come of us? Africa has been known of resolving its own difficulties without calling in regime change tactics or triggering mechanisms that can destroy our countries. There is a war in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia. But we are even being called upon by Ukraine to support them to fight Russia. Why Africa? Why Ukraine is not calling Asian countries to support them? Why is Ukraine not calling the other countries in the world? We are not the only continent. South American countries are very many. Why don't you call Brazil to support you? Why Africa? Why should a Ukrainian president tell African Union that I want to talk to your presidents? Are we seeing something which we don't want to speak about? I think I'll continue speaking about it until Pan-Africanism comes to this continent, until we redirect our efforts towards the rebuilding of our economies, towards the energy of infrastructure, giving the legacies of presidents who have done very well, like President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta of Kenya, who is leaving a legacy of infrastructure that is for future development to take your goods up to the ports of export, we cannot do anything much until we realize what triggers elections, what triggers wars, what triggers violent regime change. Bad elections, bad elections, bad elections. If we arrange bad elections, if we prepare bad elections badly, George Soros will come in and give us the yellow ribbons. Bad opposition in Africa also gives bad triggers, gives triggers to a regime change. Opposition in Africa is also being used to just change governments for the sake of change. But what about the governments? The governments in Africa, some of them don't give opposition enough ground, enough stand, enough freedom of choice, association, assembly that is enshrined in their constitutions. Why don't we start working on those freedoms that will allow no foreigner to come into Africa to give us direction, to direct us, to force us to follow the axis of evil? A regime change that kills people, that leaves a country poor, like what took place in Libya, is not a regime change for Africa. I submit.